He hadn't visited her grave in 3 years. Not because he didn't care, but because every step toward that marble headstone felt heavier than all the skyscrapers he owned. The world knew him as a billionaire. A titan of industry. A man who built empires from nothing. But standing in that quiet cemetery, he was none of those things. He was just a father who had failed the one person who loved him without condition. When he finally forced himself to walk toward her grave that cold autumn morning, he expected silence. He expected emptiness. He expected regret. What he did not expect was to see fresh flowers, a small pink backpack, and a little girl sitting beside his daughter's grave, whispering something that would shatter his heart into pieces. And what he would discover next would change the rest of his life forever. Ethan Caldwell built his fortune by never looking back. He grew up in a 2-room apartment above a mechanic's shop. His father drank. His mother worked double shifts. Ethan promised himself at 8 years old that he would never be poor again. By 35, he owned one of the largest real estate development firms in the country. Towers with his name etched in glass pierced city skylines. Magazines called him visionary, ruthless, brilliant. But no headline ever mentioned Lily. Lily Caldwell had his eyes and her mother's laugh. She used to sit on his lap while he answered emails, pressing random keys on his keyboard and declaring she was helping Daddy build buildings. He would smile without really looking at her. "I'm doing this for you," he often said. He believed it. Every late-night meeting. Every missed recital. Every cancelled birthday dinner. It was all for her future. Then one rainy evening, while Ethan was finalizing a billion-dollar merger overseas, Lily was in the back seat of a car with her nanny. A distracted driver ran a red light. The call came while he was in a boardroom full of applause. He missed it. By the time he listened to the voicemail, it was too late. Lily didn't survive. Ethan returned home to a house filled with silence. Her room remained untouched. Her drawings still taped to the refrigerator. A half-finished puzzle on her bedroom floor. He attended the funeral in a black suit worth more than most people's monthly salary. He stood beside the small white coffin and felt something inside him collapse. But grief requires presence. And presence was something Ethan had never practiced. So instead of mourning, he worked. Harder than ever. He doubled his portfolio. Expanded internationally. Bought a private jet he rarely used. People said tragedy had made him stronger. They were wrong. It made him empty. He couldn't bring himself to visit her grave after the first year. The pain felt like drowning. He convinced himself he honored her by building more, achieving more, proving the sacrifice of time had meaning. But time does not negotiate with regret. 3 years passed. And on what would have been Lily's 10th birthday, something inside him finally broke. He canceled his meetings, ignored his assistant's protests, and drove himself to the cemetery. The sky was gray. Wind carried the scent of fallen leaves. His daughter's grave was simple. White marble. Her name. Her dates. And a carved inscription. Loved beyond measure. His chest tightened as he approached. Then he stopped. Because someone was already there. A small figure sat cross-legged beside Lily's headstone. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old. Her hair was tied into uneven pigtails. A pink backpack rested beside her. Fresh daisies lay carefully arranged at the base of the grave. Ethan frowned. He didn't recognize her. He walked closer, his expensive shoes crunching softly against gravel. The girl looked up, startled but not afraid. "Hi," she said. Ethan cleared his throat. "Who are you?" "I'm Maya," she replied, as if that explained everything. He glanced at the flowers. "Did you bring those?" She nodded proudly. "They're her favorite." His breath caught. "How would you know that?" Maya smiled gently. "Because she told me." The wind seemed to pause. Ethan's voice hardened slightly, confusion mixing with grief. My daughter passed away 3 years ago. Maya looked down at the marble stone. I know. Silence stretched between them. Ethan felt irritation rising. Not at the child, but at the fragile part of himself that couldn't handle this conversation. Why are you here? He asked quietly. Maya hesitated, then opened her pink backpack. She pulled out a folded stack of papers tied with a ribbon. Because she saved me. Ethan's heart pounded. Maya continued, my mom works at the hospital downtown. 3 years ago, I was very sick. I needed surgery. We didn't have enough money. Ethan's mind raced. He remembered something vaguely. A charitable donation made in Lily's name shortly after her death. A hospital wing funded anonymously at his lawyer's suggestion for tax planning and public image control. He had signed the papers without reading the details. Maya unfolded one of the letters. It says here that a little girl named Lily wanted to help other kids who were scared in hospitals. So her dad made sure they wouldn't feel alone. Ethan's knees weakened. He had barely remembered that conversation. One night before Lily's accident, she had asked him why some children in hospitals didn't have toys. He had promised they would do something about it. He forgot. She didn't. Through the donation established in her memory, dozens of children received life-saving treatments. Including Maya. Maya looked up at him with innocent certainty. I come here every year on her birthday. I tell her thank you. Ethan could no longer see clearly. Tears blurred the marble letters of his daughter's name. I talk to her, Maya added softly. I tell her I'm not scared anymore. The billionaire who commanded boardrooms and billion-dollar negotiations sank slowly to his knees beside the grave. For the first time in 3 years, he allowed himself to cry. Not the silent, controlled tears of a powerful man, but the broken sobs of a father who realized his daughter's heart had been bigger than his empire. I wasn't here, he whispered to the headstone. I wasn't there enough. Maya gently placed one of the daisies in his trembling hand. She doesn't look mad, she said thoughtfully. She looks happy. Ethan looked at the small engraved photo embedded in the stone, Lily smiling widely. He realized something profound in that moment. His daughter's legacy wasn't the buildings he constructed. It wasn't the money he earned. It was kindness. The very thing he had neglected in pursuit of security. He turned to Maya. What do you want to be when you grow up? She grinned. A doctor. So I can help kids like me. Ethan nodded slowly. The next week, he restructured his entire foundation. Not for publicity. Not for tax benefits. But with purpose. He created the Lily Caldwell Children's Hope Initiative, fully funding pediatric care for families who couldn't afford it. He personally visited hospitals. Sat beside frightened children. Read them stories Lily once loved. For the first time, his wealth felt like a tool instead of a trophy. Months later, he returned to the cemetery. This time, he brought 2 bouquets. One for Lily. One for Maya, who met him there with a bright smile and stories from school. As they sat together beside the white marble stone, Ethan finally understood something that money could never teach him. Success without presence is emptiness. Love delayed is love denied. But redemption begins the moment you choose to show up. The billionaire who once believed power was measured in numbers learned that the greatest investment is time. And the strongest legacy is kindness that outlives you. As the sun set behind the trees, casting golden light across Lily's name, Ethan whispered words he should have said years ago. I'm here now. And this time, he meant it.